Hi, my name is Lauren Fink. I'm an attorney and shareholder at the law firm of Mazur, Amundsen, and Boggio. We are an elder law firm located in Richfield, Minnesota, and we do long-term care planning, special needs planning, estate planning, guardianships and conservatorships, and veterans benefit planning. We are here today to do a webinar for the Parkinson's Foundation Moving Day. And with me today as well is Cindy Johnson, our social worker.
Hi, I'm Cindy Johnson. I'm the social worker that works at the Mazur Amundsen Boggio law firm. And part of what I do there is provide services to our clients. I have a background working at hospitals, assisted livings, skilled nursing care, and transitional care.
Thanks, Cindy. So our webinar today is going to be kind of a back and forth question style format for different things that you might want to ask an elder law attorney if you have a diagnosis of Parkinson's, or different things that you might want to know from a social worker. So Cindy, I'm gonna start with you first with a question that we pretty commonly get, which is, you're a social worker, but you're at a law firm. What are you doing working at a law firm?
Thank you, Lauren. That is true. I get that question quite frequently. And I'd like to think that our law firm has been very forward thinking in having someone with my position at our firm. The ability for me to help clients when they come to our firm who may not have any contact with any other social workers and may need assistance to figure out what their next step is for providing housing or services at home for their loved one. So it works great as a hand-in-hand complement to the attorney's services.
Thank you, Cindy.
And Lauren, I think another thing that people would like to know is, why do people need an elder law attorney?
That is a great and also a very frequently asked question. So typically people have already worked with an attorney at some point in their lives when it comes time for assistance with planning for end of life or planning for long-term care. And the benefit of working for an elder law attorney is kind of a jack of all trades. We practice in all of these different little areas that people who are 65 and older encounter and need assistance with. And unlike a traditional attorney who doesn't focus on issues that pertain to elders, we many times have a background in government benefits or tax law that affect elders or special needs planning. So we look at problems a little bit differently with a scope to what might happen in your later years and how decisions that we make right now with respect to your estate plan or other different things that you may encounter can be affected later in the event that you need long-term care services.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. So Cindy, something that when we're working with clients a lot and they have a diagnosis and they know that at some point they might need long-term care services, they might need some help with their activities of daily living. What they start to wonder is, am I going to get stuck in a nursing home? Is that the only option that I have? And as you and I know, that's not necessarily the case. So could you speak to what housing options are available for people that need long-term care? Where are the places that you can receive long-term care services?
That is a great question. And there seems to be some confusion in the community because the information we receive is so overwhelming. There's new places going up every day, and people oftentimes find it difficult to decipher between what's a nursing home, why am I in a transitional care unit, I'm in the hospital, they say I need to go to this place, can I go home? And I think what is important is for people to, how I help them is to try to help decipher between some of those options. And we do have skilled nursing care, formerly called nursing home. We have those facilities. Oftentimes, if you've been in a transitional care unit, it will be housed within a skilled nursing facility. And then we also have assisted livings, and the variety of services that assisted living can provide can start at A and go to Z. And that can be really confusing for people to figure out, how does that fit for me? And how will my needs be cared for? Another thing that people oftentimes think of is, can I age in place? Will I have to move again? How do I find the right place for me in order to stay there and receive care and not have to think about moving again in a short time? So we do have the skilled nursing care, as I said, transitional care, which is a temporary stay, and we have assisted livings, we have residential homes, and people do go home with home care. And that's another thing that I look at and try to assist people to figure out which is the right place for you. And as I'm doing that, one of the most important things is determining how someone can pay and what their financial ability is and how that ties into finding the right location. And that's why, again, we work hand in hand with the attorney, or I do, because then you, Lauren, can help me figure out where are we financially and what are our options to pay. Can speak a little bit to that.
So when you need long-term care and you're trying to figure out how to pay for it, there are a couple of different pay sources, and some of those depend on your status as a veteran. Typically, the first place that we always go to is privately paying for care. But privately paying for care doesn't last that long. The average cost of care at a skilled nursing facility in Minnesota can run anywhere between $6,000 to $9,000 per month, depending on how much your care costs are. You will, if you have a 3-night hospital stay, and you're directly discharged into a skilled nursing facility, then you have around 100 days that Medicare will pay for. But if you directly go into long-term care, or if you don't have that preceding hospital stay, then you do immediately have to pay out of pocket for that care. And then the first thing that we look at is, how long are you going to need that care for? Is this a temporary thing, or is this going to be a pretty long stay? Once we go through realizing that it's going to be a more long-term stay, then we look at what are the other options that are available. Do you have any assets, such as retirement accounts, that might be appropriate for using to pay for long-term care? Because with paying for out-of-pocket medical expenses, you typically have a corresponding tax deduction. So if we use IRAs to offset that tax deduction, then we kind of have a tax favorable situation for paying for care. If you run out of money, then the default would be different government benefit programs that can pay for care. One of those, if you are a veteran, would be veterans benefits. Depending on your service, you can either receive care at Minnesota has a number of really great veterans homes around the state, or if you are receiving care at a non-veterans facility, then you can potentially receive an improved pension through the Veterans Administration to assist with paying for your care. If you've exhausted all of your other options, then your last option would be medical assistance, or the Medicaid program, as we call it federally. Minnesota, we call it medical assistance. But in order to qualify for medical assistance, you have to meet certain asset requirements. And typically you have to demonstrate that you've been impoverished. If you're a single person, that means you have $3,000 or less. But there are many strategies that we can put in place long before you ever get to that point, where we can preserve and protect your assets and make sure that you are living your best life. So Cindy, to the question about housing options, you know, there are so many different options, but I think that not every option is right for everyone. How can someone determine, when they're trying to find a place to live to receive long-term care, what is the right facility for me and for my family?
That's a good question. The thing that I have found most beneficial in this type of position that I have is being able to work with the attorney and understanding some of the financial implications so that I can help the family plan accordingly, and the choices that we make can fit their financial need. And then what I do is meet with families and then do an assessment so that we can help determine what area are you most comfortable going to, what part of the city. We also look at what are your current needs. Oftentimes I think we find that maybe people have, their needs are a little bit more than we really acknowledge. So we talk through that. I talk with the family, I talk with the client. And then once we determine that, I start to do a search to determine, are your skills or your needs such that you need to go to a long-term care, or do we have the option of going to an assisted living? And then I review that with the family so that they can understand the different types of care that are provided. Some people will say, I want to stay home, and then we can have a conversation about home care, the cost of home care, and what that picture looks like. So between myself and the family, oftentimes children, spouses, whoever the involved parties are, we have a conversation to determine what are some key factors, some things you're looking for as far as location, room style, if there's a specific amenities that you'd like, if you have a specialized diet, if you're insulin dependent. We look at that bigger picture, and then I do some research and then help hone in some of those choices. And then that the family has hopefully a few different options that they can look at, and we try to narrow it down so that we can pick the best option for them with their current situation. So
I think it's a really good thing, Cindy, when you and I work together on those different plans, because many times I see people that would be in a facility that if they run out of money, that facility isn't going to accept medical assistance benefits or whatever they have that can pay for that. So you and I can work together to ensure that we find a facility where they're going to be able to stay there and age in place, receive the services that they need, and also not have to move if they exhaust their assets. So, we can kind of create comfort and safety, and ensure the is going to work the way that we want it to.
Right. And that's really helpful to work together. And that's the beauty of having a social worker work with the attorney and being able to combine that information and provide the best services and options for our clients. And it works. Typically, it can go pretty seamlessly. And it's so great that we can partner together. And I think there's a lot of comfort that families find in that they have both of our background and knowledge to draw from. The other thing, though, that I find that's very important is that when we're working together, having the right documents in place can be essential when we move forward. And can you speak a little bit to the type of documents that you would recommend to people that they have in place and what we can help them get into place when they are using our services?
Yeah. So and really some of these documents are documents that everyone should have, in particular, a power of attorney and a healthcare directive. Powers of attorney and healthcare directives are incapacity documents that provide that if you are alive, but you're either physically or mentally not able to make your decisions anymore, the power of attorney says who can make financial decisions for you, who can have access to your bank accounts, who can continue to pay your bills and make sure that your life is continuing to be taken care of. And the healthcare directive, of course, says if you're not able to make your healthcare decisions, who is the one that is going to step in and make those decisions for you? So those are two really big documents that we very often see people don't have. And it can be really tricky if something happens and someone is no longer able to execute those documents. Those are documents that you can only sign if you have capacity, meaning that you understand what you're doing and you know the ramifications of signing that document and the powers that you're giving away and the people that you're nominating in that document. And if you don't have capacity to sign those documents, then we have to go to a little bit higher of a level of a guardianship or a conservatorship, which is a formal court process where we have to petition a court in order to get somebody to take that role. So having a power of attorney and a healthcare directive can save a lot of time and money and effort for your family and for your loved ones to make sure that if something happens to you at any point, they can help you. And then beyond that too, Cindy, it's also a matter of getting your estate plan in order. And the estate plan would be, executing a will or preparing a trust or, whatever type of document is appropriate for your assets and your family, which would say, if I'm gone, when I die, here's where I want all of my stuff to go. And that can be really important to have, because without having that in place, then the state of Minnesota has a plan for you. And where the state of Minnesota says that your assets are going to go might not necessarily be where you actually want those assets to go. So, you taking control of that in your life and making sure that you have a plan in place, and that if you are alive but you can't manage your money anymore, then you know that you have someone who's going to be able to do it for you. And then when you're gone, knowing that you've got everything taken care of and that it's going to go where you want it to go can give you a lot of peace of mind and give your family a lot of peace of mind.
And I think we hear that from our clients, is working as a team and having two individuals experienced in two different areas that can combine together and provide you with the best plan as you move forward as you're aging. I think that's a huge benefit and a huge relief to many families.
Definitely. Well, Cindy, thanks for doing this webinar for me today. I think that this was fun for us to talk about long-term care planning and the things that we do every day. For people that are viewing this webinar, if you want more information or if you are interested in meeting with me or with Cindy to talk about how we can help you plan for long-term care or get an estate plan in order, we'll have a link with our contact information and you can reach out to talk to us. And thank you so much for watching this video today.
Great, thank you.